How many bad decisions, bad business decisions start because people misunderstand what they're actually feeling? Because I feel like a lot of business owners say this and touched on this last week, hence we're getting into it. But we hear a lot of business owners talk about I'm stressed, I'm angry, I'm tired, I'm frustrated, I'm over this. But I'm not sure that's always what's really there. Are people misunderstanding or misreading their emotions?
Well, I don't think people have the awareness of what their emotions actually are.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think most people actually have no idea how they actually feel.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, it creates issues. So if somebody's feeling absolutely bulletproof, like I can take on the world, you know, nothing's going to stop me, and they make business decisions in that kind of state, they're also going to make bad business decisions
Fair enough.
because they think they're bulletproof. They think that. So there are thousands of sports people through history that have done that.
Been
Tiger
bulletproof.
Woods, Lance Armstrong.
Mm.
They've made decisions when they are big and expanded and think that no one's going to catch me.
No, I'm bulletproof. I'm
And
untouchable.
so that's one of the challenges. And so, whether you're big and bold or whether you're down in the dumps, you will still, the effects will be the same. You will make bad decisions based on how you feel because you're not even aware of how you feel.
So you touched on this last week, son, and funny enough, the clip went bonkers. We were talking about stress. So I want to ask, why do you think people are so quick to label everything as stress?
Probably because it's a buzzword. It's also easy for people to say I'm stressed.
Okay.
And I think the world and society has become faster and faster.
Yep.
I mean, I had a friend the other day that was joking about what we learned in grade 7, they now teach in grade 1.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so, yes, I can understand why people think they are stressed because our capacity to learn and grow and has shifted significantly.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you take, like, I guess a first year, I don't know, law student or accounting student, today what we're seeing is by the time they graduate, what they learned is now redundant.
That's true, actually. Yeah.
So if they do a 5-year degree, what they learned in year 1
and is done in year
is
5.
now, by the time they graduate in year 5, it's irrelevant because the world and technology has moved so fast. So now you take that person, they've just spent 5 years studying, and now everything they've learned is irrelevant.
Yeah, it's pointless.
Well, what future does that leave them with? So now they kind of go, well, I'm stressed because I can't get a job. I'm stressed because I can't do this. And, and people are becoming, say, less and less connected to reality. So, it's fascinating. We look at how much money people earn.
Yeah.
Versus how much they save and how much they invest.
Okay.
And if you take, like we were talking about it with, again, people our age, saying when we were kids, our parents put us through school, they put us through university, they took us on holidays, they did all this stuff with us.
Yeah.
And we had very good lives. And now we earn more than them and we can't do that.
Those things. Yeah.
And so in true Barry fashion, he said, well, when you were a kid, how many phones did your parents pay for?
I guess just the one and maybe like a work. I'm talking about landlines here.
So it was the landline that was at home.
Yeah.
They didn't have 5 cell phones they had to pay for.
Interesting that. Okay. More to pay for, more things to.
So they didn't have, how many Apple subscriptions or this or that, or, we had Game Boys.
Yeah. Classics.
You had things, you played games on them. You didn't buy all these apps and had to continuously upgrade and spend money on things like that. And when you start to look at it, is technology has cost us a lot, and not just in terms of financially, it's time, bankruptcy, it's all sorts of things. But I think people are very much unaware of how much technology costs them versus when we were growing up. You know, if you wanted to listen to something, you'd listen to the radio. Like,
that was it.
You'd have to wait, and you'd record it, and you'd sit next to the radio. Yep. And I mean, now people want to record something, click a button, it's on my phone.
Yeah.
But those things cost money.
Yeah.
And so what's happened is, because time and things have sped up so much more, yes, people are stressed because they don't have time to deal with their emotions. They don't have time to look at how I feel. You know, I don't feel like doing this. No, technology has sped our world up so much that people are stressed, or they are feeling these things. They don't know what they're feeling, and it's easy to say I'm stressed.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was going to kind of be my follow-up question, right? Because it's clearly easier then to label what I'm feeling as stress.
You know, it's like I'm feeling overwhelmed, or and then someone go, don't be ridiculous. You know, your friend's doing more than you and they're coping fine. So you can't be overwhelmed.
Yeah, yeah. There's kids in Africa that's very popular. You're like, what? I am a kid in Africa.
And this is the problem, is people are saying you're wrong for feeling that.
Okay.
So I'll use this example. I know that, and this is a very extreme example. But let's say the father dies in a household, and you've got one child that is devastated and the other child that's super excited.
Okay.
And now how do you put those two children together? Because one is grieving and the other's wanting to have a party.
Yeah.
And what the first child doesn't know is that there was some form of abuse or something going on with the other child. And the other child, you know, the second child has no idea that, you know, why are you grieving? Like,
what's going on with
what's going on? And so they land up making each other wrong, and they go to war with each other, because you shouldn't be celebrating that person died, or you shouldn't be that sad. And that's an extreme example, but it happens. And then the person that's super excited that, you know, their father passed away, well, how do I tell society that I'm excited?
Yeah.
How do I? Because I'm supposed to feel sad, loss. I'm supposed to be crying. Instead of actually saying, well, heck no, I'm not. Or, you know, we see it with youngsters, boyfriend breaks up with girlfriend, and all the friends go, oh, that's terrible, shame, you must be so sad he broke up with you. And she's thinking,
over the moon,
thank goodness he broke up with me.
Been waiting for this.
But then what happens is we feel, should I be feeling, why am I feeling so excited? Why am I this? Why? Maybe I should be feeling sad.
So we just basically go to what is essentially what society is, what's easier for society to deal with.
Or what society tells us we should be feeling.
Versus actually what I'm truly feeling, and expressing that and explaining it.
And then that creates conflict, because now I'm going, well, I should be sad, but I'm not actually. And we're trying to justify why we're happy, but then we're trying to make, well, I should be feeling sad, and I should be feeling this, and I should be feeling that. And we kind of go through all these like roller coaster of emotion because someone told me I should be feeling that.
Yeah.
And then that leads to, well, I actually don't know how I feel. So I'm stressed.
Yeah. And I mean, for a business owner, that's got to be a tough one, right? Because so you have all these pressures as a business owner. I have this business, I have this staff, I have these people. And I mean, I know that I've seen it a few times with different events, and you know, when people speak about their bosses and stuff like that. And yeah, my boss is just an angry person. Like, they're just always upset. They're unapproachable. What if that boss is actually just scared that they're not going to make payroll this month, but they're not able to express that?
And that's exactly what happens. Fear is such a misunderstood emotion, because if you take, for example, a dog that's fearful and is backed into a corner, what happens to that dog?
Oh, he's going to come out fighting.
It's going to come out fighting.
Yeah.
And people do the same.
Oh, great analogy.
People do exactly the same thing. When they're in fear, they come out ready to fight because they've got to protect their space.
Fight
or
or
they
flight.
feel like they've got to protect their space.
Yeah.
Put it that way. So fear is an amazing thing in terms of it presents differently. Like different people respond when they're feeling fearful, they act in different ways. So some people are standing in the corner all timid, but other people come up fighting. And so people go, oh, you know, why are you so angry? And the person's going, I'm not angry. And meanwhile, like you say, they're in absolute terror of flip. How am I going to pay payroll this month? How am I going to look after all of these employees? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? And so often emotions are misread and people don't understand what the other person's truly feeling. Why? Because I don't want you to know that I'm terrified. I don't want you to know that I'm disappointed or upset or what have you. So we kind of try and put out these pretend to be something we're not, and we come out fighting. And, you know, generally we don't get the results that we want.
So in your line of work as a processor, have you ever seen like a leader react to wrong emotions and what effect that has?
Oh, all the time.
So what happens? What happens when
anybody who lives on this planet has done that? And it's just, I mean, I know myself, I've done it. I have lashed out at somebody because I thought, so I use the example of a mom, and I had left my daughter at aftercare, and at aftercare she was supposed to get changed and then go to tennis lessons. And I had said, I will come and watch your tennis lesson, and you need to make sure that you are changed and ready by the time I get there. And of course, I arrive there and she's not changed. She's still in her school uniform. So what do? I went and I blasted the aftercare teacher and I gave her hell because, you know, my daughter wasn't changed, blah, blah, blah. It's the aftercare teacher's responsibility. And I gave her hell. Anyways, off we go. We go to tennis, and then we, you know, now we're late for tennis and blah, blah, blah. And then we come back, and I've now had time to think that maybe it wasn't the aftercare teacher's issue. So I went to her and I said, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to blast you. We were running late and I had instructed, you know, my daughter to get changed. And she looked at me and she said, well, your daughter told me X.
Oh, okay.
And it was, I can't remember what it was, but it was something completely different. And something like, oh, no, mommy's going to come and mommy's going to help me change, or something like that. I can't remember. And I just looked at her and I said, I'm really sorry. I did not mean to, you know, blast you, but this was my instruction. And, you know, afterwards we kind of laughed about it and we chatted about it, but how in that moment that could have been like very disastrous.
Could have been.
Because now the aftercare teacher is so useless, blah, 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 blah. And if I hadn't have taken the time to actually apologize and say, look, I overreacted, I'm sorry, you know, and then what actually happened. And again, I was running late, you know, I was expecting to have stuff done. And then the emotions just take over because you're in the moment and it's like, what the heck, you know, like, and you just kind of bulldoze over people.
That was the easiest thing to do in that moment, though, right?
Correct. Yeah. Blame somebody else.
100%.
Of course, it's not my little angel. Oh, this little angel face. She would never do something like that. Like, you know, make up a story or whatever. Of course, no, it has to be the aftercare teacher's fault. But we do that in business too.
Yeah.
And we kind of go, well, my boss would never do that. It must be your boss that's at fault. Or, my sales reps would never do, and we kind of, sometimes we bulldoze over people without getting the full story because we're in the moment, there's heat and pressure.
Oof, yeah, big one.
And then we don't stop and think about, well, what was the truth? And so it's so important to stop and find truth when there's heat and pressure, but it's hard. It's not easy to do that. And sometimes you've got to go back and you've got to apologize. And then this is the other thing I see. People apologize and then they go, well, you didn't mean it.
Yes. Big one.
And that is,
you're just saying it for the sake of saying
you're just saying that. Yeah. Instead of looking at it from the point of view, at least they apologized. Well, the real issue is they didn't apologize in the way you wanted them to apologize.
Ooh. Yeah. That's an interesting work one.
So that's what happens. We see it often in the workplaces. People don't apologize in the way that we want them to apologize. Like, you should have brought me chocolates and flowers for your behavior.
Yeah.
Like,
it should have been a balloon, a parade. It should have been a whole thing if you're really sorry for what you said to me.
And then you've got other people that are going, my belief is I never say sorry. I will just tell you that I should have done X, and because I don't go the whole guilt trip and the this and that. And so I won't apologize. I'll just tell you what I should have done.
Yeah.
And, you have people that have different perceptions, different beliefs, different, all sorts of things. And that's where sometimes you got to go, well, that's the most of an apology I'm going to get. They actually admitted that they did something wrong.
You got to understand the person.
That is going to, that is huge.
Yeah.
They actually admitted that they did something wrong.
Yeah. That's a big deal.
That's a big deal. And you got to understand that in their world, that is an apology. And we can sit here for hours with stories and things like that. But it's just understanding, just because somebody doesn't express something the way you want them to, it doesn't mean they don't feel it.
What do you mean? Oh, so just because they didn't say sorry the way you wanted them to, doesn't mean that they're actually not sorry.
Correct. Or just because they said, oh, I'm so happy for you. And they said it like, I'm so happy for
without
you.
any enthusiasm or energy.
It doesn't mean
that they're not.
Yeah. And sometimes you got to take things at face value. You can't look into it and go, well, they should have been doing jumping jacks and flick-facks in the car park with happiness, So it's just, it's such a...
People.
It is. It's a very, very challenging space to be, especially in business when you're looking at emotions.
Do you feel that teams can feel a leader's unprocessed or unacknowledged emotions? And how does that actually play out in a business?
If I think back to when I was one of my very first jobs, I was working at a computer company programming, and I remember going into this office and doing a whole bunch of work, and the client was like grumpy as heck, miserable and what have you. And eventually my boss came, and she had to deal with the situation. And I left with my boss, and she said to me, oh, don't worry, she just needs a good one.
Oh gosh.
And I kind of looked at her, and this is from this very prim and proper, she said,
it's always weird when those types of people say that. Yeah.
She goes, oh, don't worry, she just needs a good one. And my eyes nearly fell out of my head. But as we're walking out, and then somebody else was like, oh yeah, no, that's our boss. That's just the way she is. She's miserable and frustrated and irritated, and that's just the way she is. And it was something because it was like the whole thing was so out of context from my boss at the time, but it was just, yeah, absolutely. Everybody in the office could feel, everybody knew that that particular woman was a grumpy, miserable old woman.
You just normalize it.
And they just go, oh, that's just the way she is.
Yeah, that's not a great place to work. That can't be a good place to work. When you just know every day, you know that you're coming in to deal with somebody who is grumpy, annoyed, consistently angry. I feel like somebody should ask a question. And I feel like this exists in a lot of places. Like today, it exists in a lot of businesses still.
But the challenge with that is you've got to be so careful how you go about it, because generally that person has no idea that they are grumpy, miserable, what have you, because they just, over a period of time, their emotions just carried them away. And sometimes they have no concept of they actually do that behavior.
You know, I feel like when I came up with this concept of this episode, I was like, this is a lot of business owners who are going to be like, I'm not going to watch this because emotions. Why would I care about my emotions? And I was like, you know, and this, especially this one that I'm going to ask you now, this one was actually such a big one to me because I've seen it a lot with where it's frustration or anger. So we're talking about a project we're supposed to do, or this, that, and the other, and it comes off as anger, where it's actually just disappointed we didn't deliver. But the boss will never say that.
It depends on the different bosses. So some of them do, some of them don't. But yeah, I think a lot of times people will not say how they truly feel, and it comes out in the wrong way.
And that's not a good one, man. I don't think that's not. It's not fair for both sides, right? Because now you've got this frustration. When, in all honesty, you're just disappointed as a business owner. You're just disappointed your team didn't deliver, and now there's a little bit of heat. There's a lot of heat and pressure on me to pull this project together because I need to pay salaries, and it comes out as frustration.
And I think the other thing that happens is there's the frustration of we didn't get the project done in time. And then there's the anxiety of I need to pay salaries. And then there's the, and sometimes there's all these different emotions that come in. And then you're having real wins at home, like maybe your kids are, I don't know, like doing well at school, or they got selected for something. And so now you've got, I'm supposed to be happy, I'm disappointed, I'm anxious. And all of that all kind of fits up in this jumbled ball of like hot spaghetti. And as a business owner or a leader or somebody, now you've got to manage all of this hot ball of spaghetti as you're going through the different places. And often that heat and pressure of that hot spaghetti and carrying it, you collapse in the most unrealistic, but it's the straw that broke the camel's back. It's like somebody will say, oh, you look tired today, and then phew, you're done, because this hot ball of spaghetti that you've been carrying, all these emotions, is so mixed up, and you're like, I can't carry it here, I can't, like my hands are burning, this, that, and the next thing, and it just sort of, and it lands up in a heap on the floor.
Yeah.
And then you still got to pull it apart to get some of that heat off of it. And then kind of find out where, who, what, and pull those emotions apart. And then when you do that, you'll start to get some relief. But the challenge is that if you actually stopped and went, I feel disappointed over here, I'm anxious over here, I'm excited over here, I'm fearful there, then you can kind of like go with the flow, as opposed to this hot ball of juggling that you're trying to manage.
This is an interesting one, because I think we touched on fear, and we spoke about fear a little bit. But how often do you think fear is actually disguised as urgency? So like
fear gets,
we need to act, we need to move, we need to do stuff, we need to stuff is just happening, but it's actually just fear that is moving that business owner.
And often, like, fear is such a broad topic because, you know, for sometimes it's that fear of losing control.
Yeah.
And then they are on you like they want to know everything, they want to do everything, they want to see everything, they want to be everything there, because they're so afraid of losing control that it feels like you're being like treated like a 5-year-old who can't do anything. And that's where that you should do, and what are you doing, and how can you do this? And fear comes sometimes as urgency. We typically see fear as also the opposite, is people actually break and they don't do anything, and they kind of put the brakes on and they stop. And so fear often will look like somebody that's lazy and late and procrastinates. And so you get the two extremes. And fear can be disguised as a lot of different things. So, you know, often if somebody's late and they're constantly late, they're operating in fear. So there's a whole bunch of different ways people operate when they're in fear.
So this is going to be a quick fire one.
Mm-hmm.
We need some answers here. I need some answers. Actually,
you need answers.
I need
okay,
answers.
Good.
I don't know if you guys need answers for this, but I do. So these are like just words that people overuse, and we've seen it, we've heard it, you know it. This is in your wheelhouse. People use we've stressed. We've dealt with that one.
Yes.
I'm tired.
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
So stressed, tired. What other words you got there?
Stressed, angry,
out,
and I'm fine. Your favorite one?
They're all. So one, they're misdirectors. So I don't want you to see that I am struggling. So I'll just say I'm tired.
Ooh, okay.
So it's a misdirector. So I'm just tired. Because if I tell you I'm tired, I don't have to justify, explain, connect with anything. It's just a misdirector. So like, instead of like, I'm really freaking pissed off with you and I don't want to see you and I don't want to have anything to do with you, I'm so angry at you. But if I say that, well, World War III will break out in our house. So I'll just go, when you go, what's wrong? Oh, I'm just tired.
Oh, okay.
Because it's a misdirector. I don't want you to know that I'm angry and irritated and annoyed with you.
Yeah, and I'm not going to follow up.
So if I say I'm tired, then you're going to go, oh, shame. Well, I hope you get some sleep tonight.
Didn't you take a nap?
Or, you know, in terms of if somebody goes, I'm so angry, you know, same thing. Well, let me stay out of your way because I don't.
Boss is angry today, so let's
just move out of the way.
Keep the door closed.
And they are often misdirectors. Just like, I'm fine. Like,
classic.
I need you to ask me what I'm actually feeling, but I don't want any attention, so I'll just tell you that I'm fine. You know, and they're misdirectors because the true thing that's behind it is generally somebody's avoiding looking at something or they don't want you to look at something. So they'll use those words. Why? Because, well, often there's no comeback to it, or it's okay.
No follow-ups.
And that's one of the challenges with those kind of things is like sometimes you got to take words at face value and sometimes you got to go, not buying that one today.
There's more to it.
There's more to it.
So essentially these words, just like you say, they just become emotional avoidance. I don't actually want to deal with this or you at this moment, so I'm fine.
Correct. And I mean, tired is also one of my favorites because you'll see people, they'll sit in a meeting and they'll be, I mean, we've seen it a number of times with, you know, different parliamentary functions where somebody's sitting, falling asleep. And it's not just South Africa. I've seen it in British Parliament. I've seen it all over the place. And, you know, then they walk out of that meeting and they're full of energy and they're a whole bundle of joy and what have you. And you're like, but you were falling asleep in there. What happened? And often it is that the person got accessed in the process, and like to sit there and the easiest way to is to deny that something got accessed, and that happens on a subconscious level. So I'm not even aware that something got accessed. No, nothing got accessed. I'm just tired. And then you're sitting falling asleep through the meeting, and you can't keep your eyes open. Like you see it in school a lot. Kids are,
Yeah.
and it's not that they're tired. Something got triggered, accessed, activated, and now they're not aware that there's this resistance to it. So this tiredness turns on. They fall asleep. But then the moment the doors open, they're outside and they're like chatty and and everything busy. And you're like, what?
Yeah, when you brought that up, immediately what popped into my head was Donald Trump when he fell off to sleep. And I just now, while you were speaking, I realized why he fell off to sleep. They weren't talking to him. So he didn't have to explain anything. So he took the opportunity. The force was, oh, you're not going to talk to me, then I'm going to sleep. And the moment the meeting ended, he was full of life again. And I was like, Coco.
And often it's like something, it may be too overwhelming, subject may be too much. It might be, you didn't understand what was happening, or you're like, oh, we're not going through this again.
Again.
And so often tiredness is a way of just coping. And that's where there's so many things to be aware of. You know, when you start to feel that heaviness, that sort of, you need to stop and go, oh, what am I resisting? What am I not looking at? You know, what is it I don't know? There's a whole bunch of questions you can ask themselves. But I think all of those buzzwords are, I mean, we just call them misdirectors. So go look over there and not here.
Especially this one, the burns out one. I actually think I stopped using it like 3 years ago. I think it was something you said to me in a session. And because I felt like it was normal, right? I was burnt out. I was doing a lot was going on. But then I was like, wait, am I actually doing a lot? Or am I doing a lot of stuff that I don't want to do?
Or are you doing a lot of stuff that you want to do instead of what you
should be doing? Oh, that's actually a combination of both of them. That's true.
And so a lot of people hit burnout because they are not dealing with what they need to deal with. So, for example, they may be avoiding doing something.
Okay.
It is more stressful to avoid doing something and ignore it than it is to actually just go and do it. You know, you think of, I mean, we've seen it in our office, a sink full of dishes. How many people walk past and ignore that the dishes are there? It takes a lot of energy to ignore the dishes.
It does. Oh, it does.
So what happens is everyone walks past and they go, going to pretend it. Whereas if they actually just went and did the dishes, it's done. It saves so much energy in the office. And so that's what people do in their lives, is they avoid doing things like, I've got to avoid, going to, I don't know, this investor or producing this report, or I'm going to avoid this. And all their attention, it goes into, where are they? Are they here? Should I? Do I need to walk around the car park? Or do I need to walk through the office? Or do I need to go through the boardroom? Or I really need to avoid them.
How do I get away with this?
And how do I really don't want them to ask me if I've done that. So let me avoid walking past my computer. Let me walk over here. And they spend 2 days doing that. And they do nothing else.
That's a lot of energy that is burnt.
Instead of just go do it.
Yeah.
Deal with the consequence. You know that you're going to get into shit, or you know that you didn't know, or you know that you're going to be found out, or whatever it is, but just go get it over with.
Yeah.
And often once you do that, you'll feel so much better, and then you won't get burnout, because can you imagine sneaking around for 2 days? I mean, it sounds, a lot of times when I ask people, so you been sneaking around for 2 days? And they kind of and they kill themselves laughing, because they go, that's so pathetic. Like when they actually realize the behavior, then they kind of go, How stupid is that?
I thought it was smart in the moment. It's an emotional decision, right?
But you're dealing with emotions.
Yeah.
You're not dealing with facts.
Yeah.
And so, it's just like, oh, I didn't even realize I was acting like. And that's often what happens with burnout is people are not even aware that they are acting
Crazy.
Avoiding. And so that's, and again, the misdirector. I've got burnout because I don't want you to see that I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do.
Do you think that emotional awareness can improve performance in business?
Oh, absolutely.
Across the board, not just, and it's not just for business owners, but also for employees, for teams, like having a better, because like now, yeah, I'm hearing a lot of things. Friends, I have friends in corporates and stuff like that. So
you have friends?
I do. Okay, friends is a bit of a stretch. People I know, acquaintances. They have, these wellness days. One of my friends told me about, what is it called? It was some jargon that I was just like, that is corporate nonsense to say we're not going to deal with your problem.
So they have this, like, I suppose, social responsibility. Like we have to produce these things and we have to show that we're looking after our employees and we have to do this and we have to do that. But most businesses, one, are not equipped to deal with it. They have no idea what they're dealing with when it comes to emotions. And then two, most employees don't want to deal with their emotional stuff at work. Like, why would I let my boss know that I'm feeling X, Y, and Z?
Yeah.
Or they have this thing about, if I say anything to anybody, like maybe there's the nurse, and if I go and say anything to the nurse or the psychiatrist or the psychologist, maybe I'll get fired because they'll find out what I did or blah, 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 whatever. So this social responsibility that corporates are trying to create is a bit of an interesting one, because often they're doing it because they have to, not because they want to. So they don't put the right steps in place because they don't really care. It needs to look good.
And I mean, isn't that just a waste of energy? Well, time, energy, and money. And two, doesn't that then just add to the frustration of everybody, not just to the team and to the business owner? Because it's like,
so if you're an employee and you can go and spend the day doing a wellness day where you get to go and, like, I don't know, lie on the grass in the garden and
I got you.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Well, wouldn't you rather do that than do your work?
Fair enough. It's a day off.
It's a day off.
It's a paid day off, actually.
Exactly. I don't have to do anything and I get paid for it.
Let's go on this wellness day.
Let's go on this wellness day.
Let's do more.
A lot of times employees are rah-rah-rahing these wellness days, but they're actually a waste of time and nobody wins.
Yeah. And I think what you said that I wanted to jump in, but I didn't want to cut you off when you said that companies do not have the necessary resources and the things in place to deal with that. How you actually deal with that is get a hold of Nicole. She's got you. She will take care of all your people's emotions.
And I think something that is so important to be aware of is emotions don't just land on your plate today.
No.
If you're 40 and you've never dealt with emotions, you have 40 years of...
That's a lot of emotions.
Emotions to deal with. One wellness day in a corporate thing ain't going to fix nothing, because it's 40 years that they have to clean up.
Yep.
And yes, and please don't get me wrong, I'm not saying don't start, because you do need to start.
Yeah, support.
But it is important that you find something or someone that can help you walk the journey, like go from here to here, not somebody who's going to just open up all this stuff and then leave you in a worse place than when you started. And I think a lot of that is what happens on these sort of corporate sort of social responsibility things. And I'm not it's not to say that they're all like that, because they're not. Some of them some of them have some very good programs, but it's just important to be aware of, where is that program or that technology or that sort of self-help taking you. So it's important to just be aware of that.
So maybe the real question is, what damage gets created when people keep calling everything stress without ever understanding what they actually carry?
Well, most of the time the damage is already done. So
Damn.
Unfortunately, the most important thing is for people to actually stop and get present to their emotions. Because when you can get present to your emotions, now you can become aware of the things that are happening. So I used the other day, I was driving to the office and I found myself about 4 streets down that way.
Past the office.
I drove straight past the office.
Okay, got you.
And then I started looking and going, oh wow, I haven't seen this company before. And there was, I don't know, some guarding company down the way here that they were having obviously an interview day, and there were all these guys walking around with their sort of certificates and all their whatever stuff, their documents that they needed. And I'm looking at that and I'm looking at all these other things. And eventually I got 3 streets down and I'm like, where am I? And then I had to stop and look and go, what happened? How did I drive straight past the office and 3 streets down, to a place that I don't even know where I am? And then I was like, oh, I'm flippin' angry because I didn't do X, Y, and Z. And I'm stewing in my anger, and I'm so not present to what I'm doing, where I'm going, that I actually drove straight down somewhere. And I had to look at the street names, the street signs, to actually work out where I was and come back. It's not an area I'm used to. But it was the anger in that moment controlled me. And therefore I wasn't present to what was happening. So when you become present to the emotion, you can suddenly go, I'm angry. Okay, I'm angry at X, Y, and Z. Okay, cool. Now I can be present in the moment.
Yeah.
And that's where people will get things done. They will become more productive. Why? Because they actually realized, I'm angry because of X, Y, and Z. And then they'll start to make changes. So they would do a lot of things differently if they actually were aware and honest and open to how they truly felt.
If business owners became more emotionally aware, would they lead differently?
Oh, absolutely, because you wouldn't be driving past your business.
We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching.
Bye.